Northern Region, Brian rattles NDC. Party activists divided as busybody lawyers ran to IGP.
Let me take you to the Chronicle. Promises by politicians. Mahama speaks with forked tongue. Also, we are told that Akufo-Addo opens Accra World Book Capital on April 24. And a story here that says the minister woos investors for $120 million to retool the GBC.
Front page of the Graphic Business. Help Ghana shoulder debt burden. IMF pleads. And it comes to the photo of Kristalina Georgieva, and it does look like she's pleading. So Janet Yellen is pleading. Kristalina is also pleading. Our people are waiting.
It's all about the China, man.
Yeah. And then first corporate bond on GSE oversubscribed.
Okay, let me take you to the new publisher. The new publisher says this morning that John Mahama gives prophecy. God has shown me 2024 results. I won Presido big time. Also, Baumia addresses Harvard Africa Development Conference, and Jubilee House staffer retracts altered video of Asiedu Nketia.
All right, going online, citinewsroom.com. Gold for oil, a possible cause of Goil's petrol shortage. This is COPEC. Also, next NDC government will complete all abandoned projects according to Mahama. Bondholders are petitioning the president over non-payment of matured bonds. And then Yamin is asking if Baumia actually lives in Ghana. This is in reference to high cost of living. Those are citinewsroom.com stories. Business news, Nkoranza Omanhini urges informal sector to embrace Tier 3 pension scheme. And then cyber analyst reiterates calls for banks to safeguard data of customers. And then COPEC is worried over fuel shortages at some Goil stations. Major Online is leading this morning with IMF lowers Ghana's growth rate to 1.6% for 2023. Also, there's a story that has come and gone. Sort of people keep rebutting it, but it keeps coming up. The UK red list Ghana, Nigeria for health workers recruitment. Also, NDC petition CID IGP over Bernard Avle's comments. And then Ghana's bilateral creditors set to clear way for $3 billion IMF bailout. This was from yesterday. Now, the international business press is reporting that China and World Bank are exploring solutions to debt distress deadlock. This is the Bloomberg's lead story, and I believe Ghana is part of that conversation. And let's get into the details this morning.
Okay, so where are we taking over? We're doing IMF or?
Yeah, I think that's still the story. They are looking for ways of
getting the
deal,
front
the
page
deal done
of the Graphic
at
Business
the spring meeting.
Help Ghana shoulder debt burden. IMF pleads.
That is a big story.
Yes, from Maxwell Akalare Adombila. He's in Washington. Hey, Maxwell.
It's a big man.
The International Monetary Fund has doubled down on its plea to wealthier nations to support Ghana and other weaker economies to help such countries extricate themselves from the shackles of debt.
Yeah.
The call also comes at a time when the fund has seen a $1.6 billion shortfall in its funding in the face of the seemingly global economic crisis, where funding to debt-distressed countries was at its highest. Speaking out of the IMF and World Bank spring meetings in Washington, Kristalina Georgieva, who is the president of the bank, who's the managing director, said the fund and wealthier countries needed to make it easier for vulnerable ones to restructure their debts to help minimize the effects of the debt crisis on lives and livelihoods of their people. Now, with regards to Ghana's debt, there's ongoing conversation. It says, although discussions with some bilateral creditors under the G20 Common Framework are underway, talks with China, which holds $1.9 billion of Ghana's debts, have dragged, fueling doubts over the country's ability to secure a package before May. The IMF MD said such delays to debt restructuring requests were costly to the countries and the global economy in general. She said, quote, I wish to make a double play on their behalf. Help them to handle the burden of their debts, which has been made so much harder by the shocks of the past years. And secondly, help ensure that the IMF continues to be in a position to support them in the years ahead. Start with debt, she pleaded.
Meanwhile, the World Bank and China are exploring solutions to debt distress deadlock. This is the Bloomberg story coming from the same event. China and the World Bank are exploring compromises over how to restructure billions of dollars of debt held by poor nations, so-called, seeking a long-sought breakthrough that could unlock desperately needed aid. Discussions on Wednesday in Washington during the World Bank and IMF spring meetings are aimed at ending a deadlock among the world's biggest creditor nations on how to renegotiate several poorer nations' debt. which had become unsustainable amid surging inflation and the stronger dollar.
Meanwhile, we are being told that there's a need for us to rapidly set up creditor committee for our country. Elvis Dako is not reporting from Washington. He's right here in Accra. And the story, I think someone should take him to Washington.
No, he's in Kanda.
Yeah,
just writing the story.
Now, the story says U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen had called for a rapid establishment of a credit committee for Ghana and completion of debt treatment for the Zambia. Now, according to her, there is a considerable room for improvement in the international debt restructuring process. Now, during her recent visit to Ghana, Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, pledged the commitment of the country to engage the Paris Club on behalf of the Republic of Ghana. She made a call at a press conference as part of the 2023 International Monetary Fund World Bank annual spring meetings in Washington, D.C. in the United States.
So he's in Kanda, peeping in through Washington.
Yeah, and then also we are told that the global economy will be anemic, according to the IMF. And let me give you 2 paragraphs of that story. The International Monetary Fund has trimmed its 2023 global growth outlook slightly as higher interest rates cool activity. However, the group warned that a severe flare-up of financial system turmoil could slash output to near recession.
Still on the economy, I'm talking about debt restructuring and creditor committee. Bondholders are petitioning the president over non-payment of matured bonds. This is citinewsroom.com. The Coalition of Individual Bondholders Forum has petitioned the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, over the non-payment of matured bonds that were not tendered under the domestic debt exchange program. In a petition, the coalition, made up of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum and Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, say they are sad that despite several assurances by the government, it had failed to honor the payment of the matured bonds totaling 1 billion cedis. And they then quote some key parts of the statement in the story that they had to resort to a petition because of the continuous non-payment of old bonds due. And that you, the president, Your Excellency, have been categorical in your assurances of payment to individuals who opted to trust your government and invest in bonds. Unfortunately, contrary to your professed honorable position, government has, since the completion of the DDEP, failed to honor 5 out of the 8 payments due under the old bonds, totaling about 1 billion cedis for individual bondholders.
Well, Sam Jonas says that the government must be empathetic with economic turnaround efforts. That's on page 20 of the Daily Graphic. He's the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. And it says, quote, this situation has fostered a growing sense of hopelessness and helplessness, particularly among our youth, a development which has the potential to undermine the security and stability of our nation. Let us work collectively to create opportunities for our youth and build a future that is filled with promise and prosperity.
All right, now, Sky, come to your
other
stories.
Still talking about the finance issues that are affecting all of us. Page 11 has a story directed at Christians. Let's fight corruption nationwide. This is coming in from Apostle Nyamiche to Christians, and the story is from Daniel Jirasa in Sunyayin. Says the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, has urged Christians to be guided by the principles of the Word of God to minimize the incidence of corruption in the country. Now, he noted that for Christians to live above reproach, they must always live by the truth of the Word of God and not let their thoughts be influenced by money and material things to engage in tendencies that could affect the progress and development of our country.
Meanwhile, the Peace Council man is speaking in the graphic. Godfrey, I don't know if you saw the story.
Yes, that's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Since we are entering the halls of politics, it says that the National Peace Council has cautioned political leaders to be mindful of comments they make in the public, which have the tendency of creating tension and affecting the peace of the country. Quote, let's be careful with what we say and how we say it to ensure that it does not bring instability or unnecessary tension into the country. It's from the chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jemfi. He was speaking to the Daily Graphic, and he says it has come to their attention via several videos and audios that a lot of the political actors are saying a lot of things that will not help the country.
Meanwhile, the NDC has written to the IGP, and they are asking for Mr. Bane Champon to be invited. Yesterday, Mr. Abraham Amaliba, who's one of the leaders of the NDC legal team, spoke to Eyewitness News. So the story says the legal team of the NDC has petitioned the Criminal Investigations Department to immediately arrest and prosecute MP for Abetifi and Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Champo. The petition follows some comments made by the minister during the Easter period at Impraiso in the Eastern region. Mr. Champo, addressing party supporters at Impraiso on Saturday, April 8, said the governing MPP will never hand over power to the opposition NDC in 2025. The Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, described the statement by Brian Champo as an affront to the Constitution and a threat to the security of Ghana. Speaking to the press after the petition to the Ghana police on the matter, Mr. Amaliba stressed that the police must arrest Mr. Champo immediately. So they said they are waiting to see if the police will do that.
Let me stay with politics for you quickly. On the NDC side of things, former President Mahama is in the Eastern region. He has begun his campaign. Yep. He's been speaking to delegates. Dr. Kwabena Dufo is in the Northern region. And if you go to the NPP side of things, on page 9 of the Daily Graphic, Dr. Uswe Friakoto says he's relying on the goodwill of farmers to see him through.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, let's stay with politics because in the Chronicle, we are told that the Upper Denchira West NDC is in disarray over Kweson's disqualification. Nana Benin Jojo Emisa reporting from that part of the country says the NDC in the Upper Denchira West constituency, the Central region, is in complete disarray following the disqualification of Mr. Ebenezer Kweson by the Regional Vetting Committee. Now, according to trustworthy sources within the party, Mr. Kweson was disqualified based on some flimsy excuses by the Vetting Committee. Now, the Chronicle was reliably informed that the Vetting Committee members allegedly prevailed on Mr. Kweson to step aside or down so that the incumbent will go unopposed. As part of pleas for Mr. Kweson, if he agrees to step down, there will be a refund of all monies that he had to spend that far on his.
Now, let me take you to the petroleum sector. COPEC is worried about fuel shortages at Gulf stations, and some analysts are attributing this to the gold for oil deal. Now, Citi Business News is reporting that the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is urging GOIL, the prominent OMC, to resolve its supply issues as some customers have been left stranded at their outlets across the country. Now, Citi Business News has confirmed that this situation has persisted for several days, with some stations in the northern part of the country displaying no fuel signs at their premises. Now, Duncan Amma tells Citi News that he's concerned, and that checks by its outfit also show that the challenge is due to the GOIL itself not being able to get enough stock of the specific products that they have put at their forecourt. Then a follow-up story, COPEC is now saying that the gold for oil is possibly the cause of the shortage. The same chamber, same person speaking, is saying that the gold for oil policy has disrupted the market and may have caused the shortage. If you're asking cash for gold for oil products when the other traders could simply bring them products on credit, you simply lead to market distortion. I will not be surprised to see that at some point we will abandon the program altogether because it probably might not be bad if you look at the premise of it trying to save Forex, but as to whether the module will work is a different issue. So Dankanama speaking on this matter.
Wow, that's a very important thing we must watch. Bernard, but let me take you to the Chronicle, back to the Chronicle. There's a story, not a story, it's actually an editorial, which is saying that the UK government hit the nail right on the head. Our health professionals must stay. It's linked with a headline you read much earlier.
There's a story here about that. UK red list Ghana, Nigeria for health worker recruitment.
You know that the UK has been coming under fire over the last couple of months over how it is aggressively recruiting, health professionals from, poorer nations, including...
but pay the people well here.
Well, that is one side of it.
What's the
but the other side is we cannot compete effectively on the international labor market if we are going to go toe to toe with the UK, US.
And they're recruiting our professors, and they're recruiting our footballers, and they're recruiting our doctors. When nurses go and pick it, when nurses go and pick it at the Ministry of Health after they've done their schooling, and they send police to go and chase them away from there, why won't they go to the UK and work?
Well, that's one side of the issue. So we'll talk to our people. But the fact is also that...
I don't see what is wrong with it. The people send...
We need the nurses.
Ghanaian professionals in the Western world or wherever sent almost $4 billion in remittance last year. That you are using to pay school fees in dollars and build houses and things. So you are here complaining that UK is recruiting people.
Yeah, but
have they come to complain to you that they don't want to go there?
No, but the health system is struggling.
So we should train more nurses. And look, we have an advantage in having a lot of universities. We can have special facilities to train nurses that will work in our facilities here.
We are not there yet. So the little that we have, we should keep.
Let me read a story for you. This is on my journal. It says UK red list Nigeria, Ghana for health worker recruitment. And the story says Ghana is now among the list of 54 countries that should not be actively targeted for recruitment by health workers and social care employers in the UK. The announcement was made by the UK government in its revised code of practice for the international recruitment of health and social care personnel in England. The code states that some developing countries such as Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria should not be targeted when actively recruiting health or care professionals. In a release on the NHS website, the UK government explained that the listed countries have a UHC service coverage index that is lower than 50. That's what you're talking about, universal health coverage. And a density of doctors, nurses, and midwives that is below the global median of 48.6 per 10,000. The UK government added that the list is based on the WHO workforce support and safeguard list. So basically, we don't have enough, so they shouldn't target us.
But the professionals want to be targeted.
Now, some of the countries...
They'll make the results available.
Now, yeah, that's the thing. Now,
if you don't target, they'll make the results available.
This is the key. The list doesn't prevent individual health and social care personnel from independently applying to health and social care employers for employment in the UK on their own accord and without being targeted by a third party such as recruitment agency or employers. Now, the countries placed on the red list of no active recruitment are Afghanistan, if you even hear the countries, Angola, Bangladesh, Benin, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cameroon, Central African Republic, the poverty so Chad, Comoros, Congo, DR, oh my brother, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana is in this list. Djibouti, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Gabon, Gambia. Then the Ghana is Kalanku in there. Then Guinea, Bissau, Haiti, Kiribati,
Nigeria,
Laos Republic, Lesotho, Liberia.
And you know, recently Zimbabwe decided to criminalize the process where a person is actively seeking to recruit.
That's not the answer.
That was a wrong way of looking at it. But
history shows us that you can't use a force to control what economics has created. You just you criminalize, so you arrest all of them, put them in prison.
So arrest the people who are courting them
and put them where?
Well, in prison.
So is it better to be in UK sending pounds than to be in prison?
No, you see,
like if somebody wants to be, what's the sense in that? Somebody wants to go to UK, then go arrest the person, put them in prison.
Sometimes
I wonder how they think for this.
That's one way of looking at it.
Incentives. Pay the people well.
That's true.
Expand the facilities.
Yes, we should do them.
Sky, there are so many people who want to go to nursing school who can't even pay school fees. If we can even sponsor, look, I'm sure there are young people who want to enter nursing in Ghana who will be great nurses that we can train. There are nurses who have graduated that the health system cannot absorb.
That's true.
If the UK is employing them, that they will send some pounds. Let's allow them to go and stop this holier than thou. They shouldn't go.
We should balance it because, Bernard, we are using all our money to train these people.
Yes.
And we were told recently from the WA area that the whole place doesn't have even 2 doctors, only one, who is serving a population of about 30-something thousand people. After using a huge chunk of our GDP for training these people. I think there's an argument to be made for keeping these people here. And where a developed nation is seen to be actively recruiting these people, it becomes, more like people want to go there willingly.
I think the way they phrase it is like they're actively recruiting. People are going. People are looking for visa. It's not the UK is not doing anything. Sky, even if the UK say they won't employ again, a Ghanaian will go there.
They are lying.
He will go even scrub toilet.
We are ready. Come for us.
You have seen people here who are university. I met a guy in some shop. He's a university lecturer from Nigeria. He was selling something in the shop. So the thing is that we have to develop our space. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any sort of mitigating factors. Ghana itself says they are exporting nurses to Barbados. So maybe there should be grace of training. And there should also be like a quota system to say, if within a certain facility you don't have X number, you must be replaced. You come up with something like that. So like maybe there's a specialist nurse. So you say, if you don't train 2 people to replace you, we will not approve for you to go or something. But this idea that they shouldn't go there, Charlie, it won't work. Oh, I'm sure your relatives have one move.
Let me take you international quickly. Yesterday you read the story. It says Zambia have received some money yesterday from the IMF.
Burundi received 129 million.
Zambia also got 188 and they can't access the money.
Why?
Because the creditors have not agreed on debt restructuring.
Then I have a story that will interest you. Owning Twitter has been quite painful. Elon Musk tells the BBC.
Painful
To who?
To him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What is happening?
The whole Twitter, no, they make sense to him.
Bye.
Twitter boss Elon Musk has told the BBC that running the company has been quite painful and a roller coaster. However, the multi-billionaire entrepreneur also says he would sell the company if the right person came along.
Are you serious?
Mr. Musk, who also runs a car marketing company, Tesla, and rocket firm SpaceX, bought Twitter for $44 billion in October. He was taking part in an interview on Twitter Spaces, which attracted more than 3 million listeners.
Wow.
Asked whether he had any regret about buying Twitter, Mr. Musk said the pain level has been extremely high, but this hasn't been some kind of party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no, but he should keep working at it.
But the blue tick won't pay.
that's the answer. That one is blown up in his face.
The blue tick won't pay.
Yeah. But TikTok is doing so much damage to them. So they're hemorrhaging quite a lot of adverts. And money and all.
So please, if you want to go to the UK, let's talk.
But you should send us your comments.
Yes,
Should you stay? Well, we can build Ghana together.
Just replace me. Just have a theory of replacement. It's like for every tree you cut, build two. So for every at some level, for every nurse or doctor who will leave, there has to be an institutional sort of guarantee that there's somebody who's been mentored by the person. But if the person is living at a lower level, so for example, if a normal ordinary nurse, 2-3 years experience wants to go, I don't think that's a problem. I think the challenge is that there are specialist nurses who we need that are leaving. And for those people, you can come with some arrangement.
But it's also true that you have people who are teachers or who are professionals in other fields are leaving to go and do nursing care jobs.
Charlie, if they
take care of old men.
When are you recruiting the lawyers? You know, I want to see something. I want to see something.
It's serious. Thank you, Sky. That was a newspaper review.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show.